I'm a 23-year-old child-free woman, and my sister is 30 with a 4-year-old son. She's a single mom. Ex-husband is not in the picture and has no contact with her or the kid. I'm gonna get straight to the point. That kid is a nightmare to be around. It's not his fault. It's my sister's fault. He very clearly has behavioral and mental health disorders, even at his young age. However, my sister was and is very ableist and refuses to accept that her son has problems. The kid screams bloody murder whenever something doesn't slightly go his way, screams and cries when he's overwhelmed, has meltdowns to certain sounds and textures. Like I said, I don't blame the kid for these issues, but my sister refusing to get him treatment or help makes the kid a nightmare to be around. So, as a result, I don't babysit the kid when my sister asks, more like demands. I do so. This causes a lot of fights between us and our family. I have a friend, 23M, who's married to a wonderful lady age 22, and they have a baby boy together who just turned 1. Yes, they got married and had him young, but it's not my place to judge them. This past weekend, they asked me to babysit for them, and I agreed for a few reasons. Their kid is calm, well-behaved, and a general good kid/toddler/baby to be around. I love babysitting him. Also, they asked me nicely and understood that I might say no because I'm child-free. They were polite about their request. The thing about me is that if you ask me to do something politely, even if it's something I wouldn't usually agree to, I'd probably do it because you were nice and polite. So for these reasons, I happily agreed to babysit the boy. My sister also asked me to babysit her son that day so she could have a day to herself, and I refused and told her I was already babysitting for my friends. She was pissed, to say the least. She said a few comments about how I was an ass and not a good sister, but I thought she dropped it after that. This past weekend, while I was watching the baby, my sister started banging on my door. I looked through the window and saw that she had her kid and a care bag with her, and I knew she was trying to drop him off and make me babysit. She was banging on the door, yelling at me and calling me heartless and a baby hater while I was holding a baby, ironic, and that I better open up and do my sisterly duties. I put the baby in a different room to keep him from getting scared by the noise and told my sister through the window to leave, or I would call the cops. She started cursing for a solid 5 minutes before she finally left. I had the whole thing on my doorbell camera and sent it to the family group chat. Surprisingly, my whole family is on my sister's side. She keeps arguing with me about how I'd rather babysit a kid not even related to me over my nephew. I reminded her that her kid is a nightmare to be around, but she keeps saying that for family you help out. My sister has been cold since, and keeps sending me text messages to provoke me into arguing with her more. She's also started saying some pretty ableist and nasty things towards my friend's wife. My friend's wife is on the spectrum and has BPD, and my sister keeps saying that she should have been sterilized and never should have passed her issues to her kid, BTW. Her kid has shown none of the signs that autistic infants usually show, so what my sister is on. I will admit that I do feel a bit guilty because I never consider babysitting my nephew, but I jumped at the opportunity to babysit my friend's kid. My sister, dad, 66, mom, 64, and brother, 33, are all calling me an asshole and saying that I'm just using the CF label to avoid family responsibility. I need advice on how to get my family to see my perspective on this. How can I explain to them that the issue isn't the idea of babysitting, but it's the behavior of the kid? Relevant comments. Commenter. Just ignore your sister, maybe even block her. She isn't entitled to you as a babysitter. As for your family, blackheadle them. So when are you babysitting sister kiddo, since family should care for family? OP, my brother, 33, which I should have mentioned, has a wife and kids, so he can't babysit, and my parents are in their early/mid-60s, also probably should have mentioned, and claim to be too old to do so. I'm the youngest and was a whoops baby my parents had in their 40s by chance. Because of my young age and the fact I'm not married and don't have kids, they keep saying I'm the perfect person to babysit because I have nothing to do, not even taking into consideration that I have a job and friends of my own. Why can't your brother take care of him if he already has experience with his own kids? OP. In the words of my family, he already has his own family responsibility, you have none. Yes, that's pretty much always their response to when I ask, why can't my brother babysit the kid? My brother also deep down knows the kid is a nightmare, even as much as he tries to ignore it along with my sister and parents. To a different commenter, his kids don't like spending time with her kid because he's had violent meltdowns and hurt them before. The kids avoid that boy like the plague. I don't blame any of the kids in that situation. My sister's son clearly has behavioral and/or mental issues that cause him to react violently to overstimulation, which is not his fault. He needs help so he can develop ways of controlling his meltdowns, if that's the right phrase, and keep his emotions in check. My brother's kids, while mature for their age, are kids and don't fully understand why he acts the way he does. and therefore harbor resentment and dislike towards him. I feel bad for all the kids involved. Nobody is winning. Mute the group chat and contact experts for advice for your nephew. I've muted the group chat, and I know this is a me issue, but I can't help but check on it every few hours and feel bad about causing a fight. I'm soft, I know. As for my nephew, I don't mean to sound rude, but what good would that do? Yes, I can have an expert weigh in their opinion, but at the end of the day, my sister won't get him help, so what would be the point? Once again, I don't mean to be rude. Commenter, part of a longer comment: if she plans to send her child to public school, her neglect will become extremely obvious when he is unable to manage himself, and she tells mandated reporters she refuses to get him the help he needs. OP, this issue already came up. He's close to turning 5, and last school year he was supposed to be in preschool. He was enrolled, and of course the workers/teachers noticed his issues right away and tried to convince my sister to sign him up for the SPED program in the preschool and for behavioral therapy. She outright refused, went off on them, and pulled her kid from the program. He's going to start kindergarten in the fall, and my sister said if they insult her son, she'll pull him out and homeschool him. I feel bad for my nephew, because it's not his fault he was born with these issues that cause him to act out when he gets overwhelmed. I sincerely hope my sister wakes up and gets him help, or that once he grows up he'll get help himself. Commenter, you need to be honest with your family about what a nightmare the child is. Ask them to babysit. If they disagree, then block the idiots. OP, they know the child is a nightmare. They keep trying to pretend he's not and ignore the issue, but they know. They don't want to piss my sister off by mentioning it, as she goes nuclear with insults and fights whenever someone brings it up. I love my family, I love my nephew, and I love my sister, but it is so wrong to just ignore the issues he has. He needs help. There is something wrong in his head. I'm not saying that to be mean or cruel or ableist in any form, but it's the truth. OP responds to a longer comment. OP, I really hope I wasn't offensive with my wording. It feels wrong to say this kid has things wrong with him in the head, or he's messed up in the head, but I genuinely don't know how else to describe it. I really don't phrase it that way to be mean or ableist or any kind of ist or phobic, but that's the only way I can think of to describe it without a diagnosis. I don't know how much help CPS would be. We live in a small town in the South. I don't even know if CPS has an office down in our town/district. The nearest town over is a rundown city with a high crime rate, child abandonment rate, and drug use rate. So I can imagine that the CPS offices there are probably overwhelmed. Sounds like she has mental health issues too. I don't want to speculate, but I don't think she does. I think she's just ableist towards mental health disorders specifically. I'm not saying that mentally ill people can't also be prejudiced towards others with disorders and mental illnesses, but she doesn't show any signs of having any mental illness, so I don't think she has any. I could always be wrong, as I'm not a therapist or doctor, but this is just my perspective from growing up with her. Commenter, maybe when he's too much for everyone else in your family, and she really has no help at all, she will take steps to get her son the guidance he needs. OP, my parents used to try and tell her this when he was smaller toddler and showing these behaviors. They were more tame them and have escalated as he got older. She blew up, said that if they kept insulting her kid, she wouldn't let them see him again. Obviously, I can't imagine the position that put my parents in. They love their children and grandchildren, so I can imagine a threat like that would make them cave. The sister's point of view. The problem is, my sister doesn't want him to be diagnosed with anything. She has this belief that kids are overdiagnosed as a way for pharmaceutical companies and hospitals to get more money out of parents and insurance companies. And I agree to an extent that we do have an issue of over-medicalization in our country, and that we tend to slap pills and medication over the problem rather than find a way to actually resolve it. However, that doesn't mean I think that medication isn't the solution in some cases. I don't know what would help my nephew, but I'm pretty sure that doing nothing is worse for him. OP's family and their views. My parents and brother don't share the same beliefs about mental illness that she does, and I was in no way raised in any way that could even remotely cause that belief. I'm still shocked, angry, and horrified she said that about my friend's wife. I almost feel like I need to address in itself. She literally said my friend should be sterilized and prevented from having kids because she has a mental illness. I can't even wrap my mind around how cruel someone can be to say that a woman who's always wanted to be a mom and is a great mom should be sterilized simply because she has a mental illness. A few last clarifications from OP. My sister makes enough money to live comfortably with her and her son. Hiring a sitter would put a bit of a strain on that. They're in that financial bracket where they are comfortable, but they can't afford expensive things or afford to pay for extra things. I guess you could say they are lower middle class? According to them, they are. Parents being too old. My mom retired early from a state job and has a part-time easy job, and my dad is still working a different state job for a few more years. My sister's ex isn't the dad. My sister has red-brown hair. Her husband had brown hair. Kid came out with a very light blonde hair. My family didn't see this as odd because I have a very light, white-looking blonde hair color and one of my nieces also has blonde hair. So we just figured my sister carried the recessive gene. Husband wasn't suspicious of anything either, until sister broke down in a panic at the blonde hair and confessed that while they had been a short break after a fight, she had slept around a bit. Husband left because he didn't agree to opening the marriage during the break and didn't sign the birth certificate. Sister has no idea who the father is and has no way to get in contact with any of the guys she slept with. Update post 1. So, shit has hit the fan. My original post was about 3 days ago, and ever since that post my sister's behavior escalated. I tried to talk to her about getting help for my nephew, and she kept screaming at me every time I brought it up. She said a lot of derogatory terms towards people with mental illnesses and mental disabilities, terms I won't repeat here. That wasn't the only escalation. She was at my door several times a day starting 2 days ago, the day after I made my original post, banging on my door, screaming, crying, cursing, the works. She brought my nephew each time, and he always looked so confused and defeated. He was too tired to react or melt down like he normally does around loud noises, and it broke my heart to see that on my doorbell camera. I wasn't at my house. I was crashing with my friend and his wife. I took the advice of a commenter who said to put some physical distance between me and my sister. They said I was free to stay as long as I wanted as long as I helped out with some house chores and childcare while I stayed, which I thought was more than fair. So I'm staying in their guest room currently. I'm still with them, even though my sister isn't much of a problem. Many will be glad to know that my sister won't have parental rights over my nephew soon. She dropped him off at a safe haven site in the middle of the night. Totally a fun phone call to wake up to at 2 in the morning. Unamused face, and my nephew is currently with my parents. Social services placed him with my parents, and he's set to have mandatory therapy. In my state, don't know if it's different in others. If a child is abandoned in any way, safe haven or not, a physical and mental health exam is done. Other than being a little bit underweight, my nephew was physically healthy. He wasn't being physically abused like a few people were worried, but it was obvious he needed mental health, so he'll be starting therapy sessions soon, as mandated by a caseworker. We are not looking for my sister. After she dropped her son off, she left. She had quit her job a few weeks back, sold her car, and even her house a few weeks ago and had been renting a place, so this was planned. In my personal opinion, she planned to abandon her son the day I was babysitting my friend's baby, which is why she had such a nuclear reaction. She did leave a note, saying she can't do it anymore, she met someone, and that she doesn't want to be a mom to my nephew anymore. In her note, she said she deserves a normal kid and not a burden like my nephew. I seriously hope that my sister doesn't have any more kids with this mystery person she's referencing, but it seems like she's running off to start a new life and family. She still has 30 days to reclaim rights over my nephew, but it doesn't look like she'll do that. Time will tell. Like I said, I'm still with my friends because I was worried my sister would do something. My parents and brother have also been blowing up my phone and coming to my house, switching between apologies and blaming me for this. They think that maybe if I babysat that day, she wouldn't have done this, but I think she wanted me to babysit so she could do this. I'm not mad at them for blaming me. I understand that my sister is still their family and they're rightfully in shock and want someone to blame. They're human, and I know humans can be cruel sometimes while going through shock and grief. So, yeah, that's life right now. I'm currently sitting on the couch with my friend's baby while my friend is at work and his wife does a quick grocery run. She was going to take the baby, but I insisted on watching him so she didn't have to hassle with the car seat in the very stormy weather we have in our area right now. This update is all over the place. I feel like I'm rambling. There's still a lot of unknown stuff regarding my sister and nephew, but for now this is the update. I don't know if I'll post more regarding this situation. My friend's wife is telling me I should relax and just not think about anything relating to this until I'm more level-headed, but I don't think that's possible. Relevant comments. Commenter. Your sister clearly has her own severe mental health issues she's refusing to acknowledge. As fudged up as it might have been, this is best for your nephew. Also, I didn't know you could just drop off a child of any age at a place like that. I thought any child over 2 couldn't be released like that? OP, I don't know my state laws, so I don't know. Because I'm not directly involved in the case, I'm not getting updates. When I say, we are not looking for her, I mean me and my family. Police could be looking for her, but I'm out of the loop on this whole case. Update 2. Alright, so I know I said I might not post more, but things have taken yet another turn and I need to get this off my chest. I'm still staying with my friend and his wife, and honestly, they've been saints. I feel like I've moved in at this point, though I swear I'm doing my best not to overstay my welcome. So, my sister showed up. Out of the blue. Just like that. I was at my house grabbing some things, mostly clothes and a few personal items, when I heard a car pull up. I peeked out the window and there she was, looking a mess. She saw me and started banging on the door, just like before. My heart dropped. I didn't know what to do. I wanted to call the cops, but she looked so broken. I opened the door, just a crack, and she started sobbing. Full-on, body-racking sobs. I'd never seen her like that. She kept saying she made a mistake and that she wanted her son back, but she didn't know how to fix everything. It was like all the anger and hatred she had been spewing melted into this puddle of regret and fear. I told her she needed to turn herself in and work with the authorities if she wanted any chance of getting her son back. She flipped again, saying they'd take him away forever and she'd be seen as a monster. It was chaotic. I couldn't keep up with her mood swings. One minute she was begging for forgiveness, the next she was screaming at me for ruining her life. Finally, I told her to leave and that I couldn't help her unless she was willing to help herself and her son. She drove off, and I haven't seen her since. It was surreal, like some fever dream. I don't know where she is now, but I'm scared she'll come back. My parents and brother are still not on the same page as me. They think I should have let her in, tried to calm her down, helped her more. But how? She's volatile and unpredictable. Meanwhile, my nephew is starting therapy, and my parents are struggling with the new responsibility. They're older and not in the best of health, but they're doing their best. My nephew seems to be adjusting, albeit slowly. He's got a long road ahead, but at least he's getting the help he desperately needs. The therapists are hopeful, saying that with time and proper care, he can learn to manage his emotions and behaviors better. I'm still at my friend's place, and they've been amazing. Their baby is a ray of sunshine amidst all this chaos, and it's been a weirdly therapeutic experience taking care of him. It's given me a lot to think about regarding my own life and choices. I don't know what's going to happen next. Everything feels so up in the air. My sister could come back at any moment. My family is still divided, and my nephew has a long journey ahead. Update 3. I didn't think I'd be back so soon, but here we are. Things have escalated even further, and I'm honestly at my wit's end. So, last night, my sister showed up at my friend's place. Yeah, she somehow found out where I've been staying. My friend's wife saw her first and called me downstairs. There was my sister, standing in the driveway, looking even more disheveled than before. My friend tried to get her to leave, but she was insistent, screaming that she needed to talk to me. Reluctantly, I stepped outside. She looked at me with this wild desperation in her eyes. She said she's been living out of her car, hasn't showered in days, and has barely eaten. She kept saying she needs my help, that I'm her only hope. It was gut-wrenching. I tried to stay calm and told her again that she needs to turn herself in. She snapped, started yelling about how I've ruined everything, that it's my fault she's in this mess. She lunged at me, and my friend had to physically pull her off. That's when we called the cops. The police arrived and took her away. They said they'd take her to a facility where she could get some immediate care and evaluation. I don't know what will happen next with her, but at least she's not living out of her car anymore. My parents are devastated. They keep calling, asking why I didn't try harder to help her. My brother is being slightly more understanding, but still thinks I should have handled things differently. It's like no matter what I do, it's never the right thing in their eyes. On a brighter note, my nephew seems to be doing a bit better. He's starting to show some signs of improvement with therapy. The therapists have been amazing, working patiently with him and my parents. They've even started giving my parents strategies to help manage his meltdowns, which has been a game changer. It's slow progress, but it's progress nonetheless. Living with my friends has been a blessing. They've been so supportive, and their baby continues to be a source of joy. Watching him grow and learn has been a beautiful distraction from the chaos of my own family drama. I've been helping out more around the house, trying to repay their kindness in any way I can. I still feel guilty. Guilty that I couldn't do more for my sister. Guilty that my family is falling apart. Guilty that I'm finding some semblance of peace while everything else is in turmoil. But I'm trying to remind myself that I've done what I could. You can't pour from an empty cup, and I need to take care of myself too. I don't know what the future holds. My sister is in the system now, and I hope she gets the help she needs. My nephew has a long road ahead, but he's in good hands with my parents and his therapists. Relevant comments. Commenter. You did the right thing calling the cops. Your sister needs professional help that you can't provide. Stay strong. Opie, thank you. It was a tough decision, but I agree it was the right one. I just hope she gets the help she needs. Commenter. Have you considered therapy for yourself? It sounds like you're dealing with a lot and could use some support too. Opie, I've thought about it. I might look into it once things settle down a bit. Right now, I'm just trying to keep my head above water. Commenter. How is your nephew coping with all this? OP. Surprisingly, he seems to be doing okay. My parents say he's adjusting and starting to open up more during therapy. It's going to be a long process, but I'm hopeful. Commenter. Your friends sound amazing. Make sure to show them some extra appreciation once things calm down. OP. Absolutely. They've been my rock through all of this. I'm planning to do something special for them once everything settles down. They deserve it. Update 4. First off, my sister's been transferred to a psychiatric facility for a full evaluation. Turns out, she's been struggling with severe depression and some other mental health issues that went undiagnosed for who knows how long. The doctors say she's going to need long-term treatment, but there's hope she can recover with the right care. I have mixed feelings about this. On one hand, I'm relieved she's finally getting help, but on the other, it's heartbreaking to think about how much she's been suffering in silence. My parents have been a mess. They've been visiting her as often as they can, which has been hard on them given their age and health. They're still not entirely forgiving of me for calling the cops, but they're starting to come around to the idea that it was the only option left. It's a slow process, but there's some progress there. As for my nephew, the kid's a trooper. He's been responding really well to therapy, and the therapists have even started some early intervention techniques. He's learning how to express his emotions more healthily and how to cope with sensory overloads. It's still a long road, but seeing him make strides is incredibly uplifting. My parents are doing their best, but they're struggling with the day-to-day demands. We're looking into getting some additional support for them, maybe a part-time caregiver or a special needs nanny. Now, here's where things get really crazy. My friend's wife, the one who's been my rock through all this, found out she's pregnant again. They're over the moon, but it's adding a layer of complexity to everything. They've assured me that I'm still welcome to stay as long as I need, but I'm starting to feel like a bit of a burden. I've been looking for my own place, but the rental market is insane right now. Still, I want to give them the space they need to prepare for their new addition without feeling like they have an extra roommate hanging around. Meanwhile, my job has been surprisingly understanding about everything. I explained the situation to my boss, and they've given me some flexibility with my hours and the option to work remotely as needed. It's been a lifesaver, honestly. With everything going on, the last thing I need is to worry about losing my job. My brother, surprisingly, has stepped up more than I expected. He's been helping out with our nephew when he can, and he's even been more supportive of me. He admitted that he didn't realize how bad things were with our sister and that he regrets not stepping in sooner. It's been a turning point in our relationship, and I'm grateful for that. So, what's next? I honestly have no idea. I'm taking things one day at a time. My sister's getting the help she needs, my nephew is making progress, and my family is slowly starting to come together. It's not perfect, but it's something. I've been looking into therapy for myself, as many of you suggested. I think it's time to address my own mental health and make sure I'm in a good place to support everyone else. It's been a roller coaster, but I'm hopeful for the first time in a long while. Relevant comments. Commenter. It's great to hear your sister is getting help. Have you been able to visit her? OP. I haven't visited her yet. I'm still processing everything, and I think I need some time before I see her face to face. My parents have been keeping me updated, and it sounds like she's starting to stabilize a bit. Commenter. How is your nephew handling everything? OP. He's doing surprisingly well, considering everything. Therapy has been a game changer for him. He's starting to open up more, and the meltdowns are becoming less frequent. It's a slow process, but he's making progress. Commenter. Your friends are amazing. Do you have a plan for finding your own place? OP. They truly are. I've been looking at rental listings, but the market is tough right now. I'm hoping to find something soon so I can give them the space they need with the new baby on the way. Commenter. Have you considered family therapy? It might help with the communication issues. OP. That's a good idea. I'll suggest it to my parents and brother. We definitely need to work on our communication and how we handle conflicts. Commenter. Your brother stepping up is a pleasant surprise. How's that going? OP. It's been a big relief, honestly. We've had our differences, but this situation has brought us closer. He's been really supportive, and it's made a huge difference. Update 5. Well, guys, it's been a whirlwind, but I think things are finally starting to settle down. First off, my sister is making progress. She's still in the psychiatric facility, but the doctors are optimistic about her recovery. She's been diagnosed with severe depression and anxiety, along with some unresolved trauma from her past. It's going to be a long road, but she's receiving the treatment she needs. We've had a few family therapy sessions, which were intense but ultimately healing. She apologized for everything, and while I'm still wary, I'm hopeful we can rebuild our relationship in time. My nephew is doing amazingly well. The therapy has been transformative for him. He's starting kindergarten soon, and his therapists have worked closely with the school to ensure he gets the support he needs. My parents have been incredible through all of this. They've learned so much about managing his needs and creating a stable, loving environment for him. We've even hired a part-time caregiver to help out, which has made a huge difference. I finally found a place of my own. It's a small apartment, nothing fancy, but it's mine. My friends were so supportive during my search, and I can't thank them enough. They're excited about their new baby, and I'm thrilled for them. It feels good to have my own space again and to know that I have such amazing people in my life. My job has been fantastic. They've continued to be flexible and understanding, and I've been able to catch up on work and get back into a good routine. It's been a relief to have that stability amidst all the chaos. As for my relationship with my family, it's a work in progress. My parents are slowly coming around, and my brother has been a rock. We're planning to continue family therapy even after my sister is released, which I think will be crucial in maintaining our newfound understanding and support for each other. I've also started therapy for myself. It's been eye-opening to dig into my own issues and find healthier ways to cope with stress and family drama. It's something I should have done a long time ago, but better late than never. I want to thank everyone who followed my story, offered advice, and provided support. Your kindness and wisdom have meant the world to me. I couldn't have navigated this without you all.